Conor McGregor, he has a beating in front of him. He can't beat anybody at 155 or 170. They'll put him in a main event when he can't even breathe for one round. He's better off without an ass whooping. And to give a little context to Uncle Chael's statement, yeah, I mean, realistically, McGregor, he has not won a real MMA fight since 2020. That's when he beat up Donald Cerrone, who was already like way advanced age at that stage of his career. Remember the innovative shoulder strikes that McGregor was doing, all that? All right, you got him out of there, but you haven't won a title since 2016, back when he became a double champ against Eddie Alvarez. So I think everything that Chael is saying is true. I think McGregor will never fight again in any real meaningful competition. And I think that he's just trying to juice the allure that he had back from the 2010s. But the one unfortunate thing is, this sport just moves on without you, brother. Legends are legends until they're not, and then we don't got anything else to care about. How do you see all of this? What is McGregor's impact in the combat sports industry currently?
His impact in combat sports, like the aura, right? The everything that goes out there is still actually pretty huge. I mean, he was in Roadhouse, right? He's still doing all of his other things. Like the name McGregor does carry a lot of weight, unless you're a diehard fight fan. And then you're with the rest of us where you're like, man, like, hasn't won a fight since 2020, hasn't won a championship since 2016. Dude's washed up. Yeah, I know you guys love him. I know all the antics are there. But at the end of the day, he does have a really good PR person that keeps his name in the spotlight. And we are the minority of the the MMA fans out here. So I do think a lot of people, they hear that name, ears perk up. So he still does have a big impact. But should he? No. And should he get in the cage again? Absolutely not. He'd stay retired, go make money and everything else you're doing. Because I agree with Uncle Chael. He's one smart man. You're looking for an ass whooping if you walk back into that cage, and we don't need to see it happen.
I think that he's now synonymous with just marketing, like grade A marketing, bro. Like nobody does it better. I don't even think he has a PR person. I think he is the PR person. Like the man needs to open up an agency and he needs to create stars. I think that that's what he should be doing. But we'll see what happens. All right, next up, man. This is actual big news right here, important news, but similar to the Pitbull news. Kyoji Horiguchi, he makes a UFC return. Let's not forget, back between 2013 and 2016, the man went 7-1. His lone defeat was a championship loss, right, to Mighty Mouse. He lost, you got submitted, it was what it was, you dipped out, you took your career elsewhere, and he's been pretty much on a tear, man. But now he decides, after becoming a multiple-time Rising champion, fighting in Bellator, he just actually re-won the belt, flyweight division, and either re-won it or defended it in Rising, dipped out and said, all right, I'm headed to the UFC now. But it's like, damn, bro, 2013 was a long time ago. You know, that was literally pretty much 10 years ago, that span that you were on. What are we doing here? We're spicing up the flyweight division a little bit, which I'm glad, because like we just mentioned, you know, aside from Pantoja and a couple of other names, Moreno, they don't really have anybody else, so this is cool. But would you not say that this entire move is contingent on whoever Horiguchi fights in his first fight? He has to win, and it has to be impressive, because imagine he loses. It's just like, damn, what are we doing now? What do you think?
He has to win, it has to be impressive, and it has to be against a notable name, Derek. And those three things together, lined up together, are very, very hard to accomplish. Because, you know, let's say you put up Horiguchi against a middle-of-the-pack fighter, right? Yeah, he's on the main card, but not a lot of people care against who he's actually fighting. It's just like, oh, who is this guy? We've never heard of him before. Funny name. He's from across the area. Like, it is obviously, folks, I'm joking around here with the funny name shit, but really do think that is how a lot of people are going to see him fighting in there. And they need to give him against a talent where he absolutely shuts him down, and then we can see Horiguchi get the respect he deserves.
You know, the thing is when I look at this, to the casual fan, they might just look at it like this is Kai Asakura 2.0. Right? Like, is another Japanese guy that you're bringing in here from another promotion that you're hoping is going to be the next big thing? We saw all the hype for Asakura, and Pantoja came in there and submitted him in, 2 rounds? You know what I mean? Horiguchi, you got to come in here. You got to impress. But I think that this is huge news, a huge signing from the UFC. Just like X amount of years, like way too late. You know what I mean? So I just wish that I wish things could be different, but I get it. Contractual disputes, MMA is weird in that sense. But we'll see what happens. All right, next up right here. This is where things get a little spicy. AJ. Listen, man, Bellator fighters, PFL fighters, they're still pissed. They're still like, yo, what's going on? Release me from my contract. I just want to fight, because some people are being held hostage, especially on the Bellator side more than anything. A lot of the champions there. Don Davis, the head of PFL, the Dana White of the PFL. He has a tweet here where he says, nobody has to be here. And this is in response to Damon Martin, MMA journalist, who's basically saying, hey, you got all these Bellator champions. They haven't fought in a year and a half. What's going on? Don Davis says, nobody has to be here. PFL only provides, or it provides the only premium global lasting platform for fighters other than the UFC. Countless others have come and gone because they're not serious people. PFL takes the leadership role to grow MMA for fans and fighters very seriously. So my question is not about, hey, let's roast PFL, let's roast on. No, that's not what it's about, right? I think that the recent departures of top fighters have created some turmoil for the PFL. But shouldn't we as fans, right? Like, shouldn't we hope for the success of the PFL or another company that we're going to talk about in a second? Shouldn't we hope that they do well? Because you need competition. If you don't have competition, the UFC product that's getting pushed out right now that people are against, that people are like, oh, this sucks. We're the big names. How come they're just fighting in a warehouse all the time? If you don't have another promotion to push you, this will continue. This will never stop because it's just about dollars and you're the only commodity on the market. So are you rooting for the PFL? Are you rooting for Don Davis to be ousted so that they could find somebody else? What does this scenario look like?
That's a really good question, Derek. And I think the one place where I can relate, right? Like we're talking NBA, NFL, NHL. Yeah, there is competition. You know, you could go play in the D League, the G League, like there's other ways to play, but do they have the eyes that the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and MLB, all of these that go in there? Shit, I can go watch a double A, a triple A game out here in Austin, Texas for baseball, but we're not gonna, have the majors out here, and that's really what draws attention. So I do think the UFC is in a position where they could be the premier sports, and I guess they are the premier fighting sports company right now, but I would personally like to see the ability to where they can all kind of commingle, right? Like, yeah, we have our champs here, you have your champs there, let's get it going, get a fight together. Like, I do think there is opportunities to meld together, but I think with the way Dana White runs his business and the way Don Davis runs his business, they're never going to see eye to eye. And I do love the tweet he has from it, to quote, provides the only premium global listed platform other than the UFC.
Yeah,
like, you're
man.
in second place. People aren't really liking what you put out. Sounds very defensive. I just wish they changed the way they flow.
Yeah, and then Ariel Helwani actually went and roasted him immediately after this. And I don't want to drive into the drama side of things, so we'll leave it there because, again, you can laugh and you can make him the butt of the joke, but I do agree. You need competition if you want to see a different product. If you're not satisfied with the product now, you need to root for somebody else to do well, which unfortunately takes us to our last piece of business. AJ, we called it. We already put up a video, so you guys can go and reference that. But the GFL, the Global Fight League, they canceled their debut events. Future for the fledgling MMA promotion is uncertain. The GFL founder, Darren Owen, he told Uncrowned, that's Ariel Helwani's program, that the main investor they did not fulfill their April obligation, which led to this cancellation. The real problem is that they're saying, yeah, we're probably going to be doing this in June or now so. A lot of fighters, big name fighters, over the hill fighters, realistically, they turn down opportunities, man. That's like saying, like, hey, I had job offers coming in and I turned them down because this thing was promised to me. This was going to be my next big opportunity. And now it looks like something that had a lot of red flags going into it, which is why we all looked at it. We're like, really? Is this going to work? But it's like, now, what do you do? You know what I mean? Can you go back to the person who gave you the job opportunity that you turned down for this and say, actually, I want a job now? And they're like, nah, it's too late. Sorry. Deal has been revoked. You're just playing with people's livelihoods right here. So again, this is not a knock on the fighters who signed up for this. This is a knock on doing business this way and setting yourself up for something that you don't have funding for. And more important, who's going to be the competitor, man? We need somebody to take this thing seriously. Who's going to step up? What do you think, bro?
I'm with you. This is one of those ones you're counting your eggs before they hatch, and you don't have the investor that pulled through in April. Well, you should have had a backup. You should have had a tertiary backup going forward. You should be having as much eyes on this of people that want to just dump money into your division, because that's the only way, or I should say organization, because that's the only way you're going to compete with the monster that is the UFC. We're not looking for third, fourth, fifth place here, folks. You need to be at the top of it, and that's where people need to be wanting to see the product that you produce.
That's fair right there. All right, folks. Well, that is your headline madness for this week. UFC 314 is in the bag. We will be back next week for another breakdown. AJ, that's the program, yeah?
Absolutely, folks. It's been a fun one. Make sure you cash in because we're winning in money again.